Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into one of the most misunderstood but essential aspects of personal power: boundaries. If you've ever felt drained, resentful, or lost in trying to please others, this episode is for you. Let's explore how setting boundaries isn't about keeping people out, it's about keeping yourself in alignment. Let's begin. Chapter 1. What boundaries really are. Let's begin with a truth many people never hear growing up. You are allowed to take up space. You are allowed to say no. You are allowed to protect your time, your peace, and your well-being. And doing so doesn't make you rude, selfish, or distant. It makes you clear. Boundaries are not about cutting people off. They're about letting people in the right way. They're about saying, "This is how I want to be treated. This is what I need to feel safe, respected, and connected." Think of boundaries like the frame around a beautiful painting. Without a frame, the painting can be overlooked, stepped on, or even destroyed. But with a frame, the painting is protected, and its beauty is preserved and honored. You too are a masterpiece, and your boundaries are how you protect your value. But here's the challenge: most of us weren't taught this. We were taught to be nice, to avoid conflict, to accommodate others, to stay small and agreeable, even if it meant abandoning our own needs. Especially if you grew up in a home where emotional boundaries were weak, or ignored altogether, you may have learned that love meant self-sacrifice. That being needed was the same as being loved. That saying yes, even when it felt wrong, was how to stay safe. So now, when you try to set a boundary, it feels wrong. You might feel guilt, anxiety, fear of losing people. But let me tell you something. Guilt is not always a sign that you're doing something wrong. Sometimes, it's just a sign that you're doing something different. Healthy boundaries can feel uncomfortable, at first, because they challenge your old programming. They challenge the idea that your worth comes from being everything to everyone. They challenge the part of you that learned love meant self-erasure. But the truth is, love without boundaries isn't love. It's survival. Real connection only happens when two people can show up as whole individuals, not fused, not dependent, but interdependent. That means both people can say what's okay and what's not. That means both people can walk away when their needs aren't met, not out of anger but out of self-respect. When you set a boundary, you're not saying, "I don't care about you." You're saying, "I care about me, and I want to have a relationship with you that's healthy, honest, and sustainable." Boundaries aren't just for difficult people. They're for all people. Even the kindest relationships need them. Why? Because no one can read your mind. No one knows your values, your needs, or your triggers unless you communicate them. And communicating a boundary doesn't have to be harsh. It can sound like, "I need some time to think before I respond. That topic is sensitive for me, can we change it? I'd love to support you, but I don't have the capacity right now. I'm not available this weekend, but I'd be happy to reconnect next week." Clear is kind. Vague is confusing. Boundaries bring clarity, and clarity builds trust. When you know where you end and others begin, you show up with more presence, not less. You give from a full cup, not from obligation. And your relationships become grounded in truth, not performance. So next time you hesitate to set a boundary, ask yourself this: is this about keeping someone out, or keeping myself in? Because your peace matters. Your truth matters. And the most powerful way to protect them is to honor them. Chapter 2. Energy is currency. Where are you spending yours? Let's talk about energy, not in the abstract, mystical sense, but in the real, everyday way it shows up in your life. Energy is your most valuable currency. More valuable than time. More valuable than money. Why? Because how you use your energy determines the quality of your time, the value of your relationships, and the clarity of your mind. Every single day you're spending energy. In conversations, in thoughts, in tasks, in emotions. And the truth is, most people are going through life with an open wallet, handing out energy to everyone and everything without ever checking their balance. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you paused and asked, "Where is my energy going?" Who or what is withdrawing from your internal bank account, without giving anything back? There are energy investments, and energy leaks. Let's break them down. Energy investments are the people, activities, and choices that leave you feeling fuller, stronger, more grounded. They give something back. A sense of peace, joy, purpose, connection. Energy leaks, on the other hand, are the things that drain you. Constant overthinking, endless scrolling, one-sided conversations, saying yes when you mean no, trying to fix people who don't want to be fixed, pleasing everyone but yourself, carrying the emotional weight of people who never asked you how you're doing. And the danger is, Energy leaks are sneaky. They don't always announce themselves loudly. Sometimes they show up in the form of small, habitual self-betrayals. You tell yourself it's fine, when it's not. You convince yourself you have to push through, when your body is begging for rest. You feel guilty for taking care of yourself, so you keep giving more, even when you're running on empty. But here's the truth. You cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot show up as your highest self when you are energetically bankrupt. Boundaries help you manage this. They help you become selective, not selfish. Intentional, not unavailable. It's okay to say, I don't have the energy for this conversation right now. This space doesn't feel nourishing to me anymore. I need a day to unplug and reset. It's okay to protect your energy like it matters, because it does. Let's look at a deeper layer here. Your energy is a reflection of your alignment. If something constantly drains you, chances are, it's not aligned with your truth. You can only fake enthusiasm, presence, or kindness for so long before it becomes emotional debt. Energy doesn't lie. Even when your words are polite, your energy tells the truth. And others feel it, even if they don't consciously realize it. So when you begin honoring your energetic needs, you stop pretending. You stop overextending. You stop performing. And instead, you start living. Imagine if you approached each day like an energetic budget. You'd ask, what's worth my energy today? Where can I invest it for real return? What's draining me that I can release? This is not just about protecting yourself from others. It's also about protecting yourself from yourself. From the part of you that still believes your worth is tied to how much you do, how much you give, or how little you need. Let me remind you, your energy is sacred. Not everyone deserves access to it. Not every battle is yours to fight. Not every invitation is meant to be accepted. When you begin treating your energy like currency, everything changes. Your focus sharpens. Your relationships deepen. Your peace expands. Because suddenly, you're not just surviving. You're creating. You're aligning. You're living in a way that honors who you really are. So today, do a quiet audit. Not of your time, but of your energy. Where have you been overspending? Where can you start investing more wisely? The more consciously you manage your energy, the more powerful, present, and peaceful you become. Chapter 3: Saying No Without Guilt. Let's get real about one of the most difficult but life-changing words in the human language: no. It's small, simple, just 2 letters. But for so many of us, saying no feels like breaking a sacred rule, like we're doing something wrong, like we're going to disappoint, hurt, or even lose someone we care about. And why? Because somewhere along the way we were taught that no is selfish, that it makes you hard to love, that it disconnects you from others. But that's a lie. No is not rejection. It's redirection. It's a choice to honor your energy, your values, and your truth. We carry guilt because we think saying no means letting someone down. But here's the deeper truth. Every time you say yes to something that drains you, you are letting yourself down. You're saying to your inner self, the one that longs for peace, balance, and authenticity, you don't matter as much as what they need from me. And you do matter. Deeply. We've been conditioned to believe that love means self-sacrifice. That being a good person means being constantly available. That kindness requires endless giving. But real kindness includes yourself. Real love includes you. Saying no is not the opposite of compassion, it's the foundation of it. Because when you protect your space, your time, your mental and emotional energy, you show up with a full heart, not a resentful one. Let's talk about guilt. That burning sensation in your chest, that knot in your stomach when you tell someone you can't help them, or won't attend, or simply don't want to do something. Here's the thing. Guilt is not always an indication that you're doing something wrong. Sometimes it's just a symptom of your healing. You're unlearning the belief that your worth is tied to your compliance. You're breaking patterns of people-pleasing, over-functioning, and self-abandonment. That's not wrong. That's liberation. You are allowed to say, I can't make it. That doesn't work for me. I'm not available. I need to rest. I'm focusing on something else right now. And you don't need to offer a long explanation. You don't need to prove how busy or tired or overwhelmed you are. Your boundary is reason enough. Let that sink in. It's not your job to make other people comfortable with your boundaries. It's your job to stay in alignment with your integrity. And often the people who love you the right way will respect your no. They might not always understand it, but they will honor it because they honor you. Now, will some people be upset by your boundaries? Probably. Especially if they were benefiting from your lack of them. But their reaction is not your responsibility. Your responsibility is to yourself, to be honest, to be intentional, and to choose peace over performance. Here's a powerful shift. Instead of fearing that no will push people away, start trusting that no will reveal who's meant to stay. The relationships that thrive in truth, not transaction, will remain. The ones that crumble when you stop self-sacrificing? They were never real connection. They were contracts of convenience. So the next time guilt creeps in, breathe. Come back to your center. Remind yourself, I'm not here to live for everyone else. I am here to live in alignment with my soul. Saying no is not shutting a door. It's opening the right ones. The ones that lead to clarity, authenticity, rest, and joy. Practice it, even in small ways, even when your voice shakes. Because every time you say no with love and clarity, you say yes to something far greater, yourself. Chapter 4. Spiritual Boundaries, Protecting Your Peace. There's a kind of boundary that goes beyond the physical, beyond the emotional, beyond the mental. It's not about saying no to tasks or people. It's about saying no to energies that disturb your inner stillness. This is what we call a spiritual boundary. Spiritual boundaries are invisible lines we draw to protect our peace, our alignment, and our connection to what's sacred inside us. Because here's the truth, not every space is safe for your soul. Not every conversation deserves your spirit. Not every connection is meant to carry your essence. We don't talk enough about this. About how sacred your energy actually is. About how easily your spirit can get tangled in things that don't belong to you, other people's pain, projections, chaos, and emotional debris. You can be deeply compassionate and still say, this is not mine to carry. I can love you without absorbing your suffering. I can be present without abandoning my peace. Spiritual boundaries begin with awareness. Notice the spaces, the voices, the media, the environments that make you feel heavy. Notice when you leave a conversation more anxious than when you entered it. Notice when your heart closes, your breath shortens, or your thoughts start spiraling. These are signs that something is trespassing your spirit. Sometimes the intrusion isn't loud. It's subtle. A passive-aggressive remark. A conversation rooted in fear, gossip, or scarcity. A room filled with performance, not presence. Or even your own inner dialogue, repeating beliefs that were never yours to begin with. Spiritual boundaries are about discernment. They are the sacred no that protects your intuition. The gentle step back that honors your nervous system. The firm, I'm not engaging when chaos comes knocking. And here's what's radical. You don't have to fight to defend your peace. You don't need to debate, explain, or convince anyone. Peace is not loud. It's steady. It simply removes itself from what doesn't align. Sometimes that means leaving a room quietly. Turning off your phone for a day. Not responding to the drama. Unfollowing voices that disturb your clarity. Stepping into solitude. Not to escape, but to return to yourself. Because your spirit was never designed to live in constant stimulation and noise. It longs for stillness. It heals in silence. It speaks in whispers, not in shouts. When you protect your spiritual space, you begin to hear the deeper voice inside you. The one that says, I am okay even when the world is not. I don't need to attend every emotional fire. My alignment is more important than their approval. This isn't about being cold or distant. It's about being deeply responsible with your energy. It's about knowing that when your peace is intact, you are more grounded, more loving, more powerful. Because you're no longer reacting from a wounded place, you're responding from a rooted one. Spiritual boundaries are also about grace. You're not here to judge others for where they are, but you are allowed to honor where you are. To say, I love you but I can't hold this space right now. To whisper to yourself, I choose peace, even when your ego wants to engage. And if someone doesn't understand, that's okay. Not everyone will get your need for quiet. Not everyone will respect your need for space. But those who are meant to walk with you, will. They will feel your peace and recognize it because it lives in them too. Protecting your peace is not an act of separation. It's a commitment to connection. To connecting with your higher self. With your values. With your breath. With the divine. So today ask yourself, what is sacred to me? What am I allowing in that does not belong? And what can I lovingly release to return to stillness? Because when you honor your spiritual boundaries, you come home to the part of you that never needed to hustle, explain, or prove. Just be. That's where your power lives. In your peace. Chapter 5. Freedom through limits. We've been sold a myth. That freedom means doing whatever we want, whenever we want. That it's about breaking rules, escaping structure, and rejecting discipline. But true freedom, real, grounded, soul-aligned freedom, doesn't come from chaos. It comes from limits. It might sound like a paradox. How can limits set you free? Because boundaries aren't walls. They're gates. They don't trap you, they guide you. They direct your energy toward what matters and away from what drains. They protect your essence from being diluted by distractions. Imagine a river with no banks. It spills everywhere, aimless and stagnant. But with solid edges, it flows with power and purpose. Your life is the same. Your energy, your love, your creativity, they all need structure to move with impact. When you start setting boundaries, you're not limiting yourself. You're actually liberating yourself. You're saying, this is where my time goes. This is what I allow into my mind. This is the level of respect I require. This is how I care for my body, my spirit, my mission. It's clarity. It's strength. It's a declaration of sovereignty. Because without limits, we become prisoners to everyone else's urgency. We become reactive. We say yes when we mean no. We stay up late when our body needs rest. We overextend ourselves trying to prove our worth. We scroll, compare, and consume until we forget who we are. But when we place limits with intention, something shifts. We reclaim our rhythm. We remember that we have agency. We begin to choose, not drift. There's freedom in waking up early because you chose discipline over comfort. There's freedom in turning down that invite so you can recharge in silence. There's freedom in not responding to every text, email, or expectation. And there's deep, soul-level freedom in not being everything to everyone. Limits allow you to move with purpose, not pressure. They keep you from leaking your life force into people, places, and thoughts that don't nourish you. And more than anything, limits teach you self-trust. Because every time you honor your boundary, you're sending a message to your nervous system. I've got you. I will not abandon you to be liked or needed. Your peace matters. Yes, it might be uncomfortable at first. Saying no. Walking away. Sitting in stillness. But discomfort is not danger. It's growth. It's the shedding of old patterns that said love means overextending, that belonging means betrayal of self. You are not here to be constantly available. You are not here to be consumed. You are not here to be a container for everyone else's chaos. You are here to live aligned, awake, and free. And that freedom? It's not found in how much you do. It's found in how deeply you honor what you won't do, and what you protect, and what you preserve, and what you choose to pour your soul into. Because every time you say, this is my line, you're not limiting yourself. You're becoming yourself. You made it to the end of this episode, and that already says so much about your journey. You're not just listening, you're choosing to grow, to protect your energy, to live with intention, to become the version of yourself that doesn't just survive, but thrives in peace, alignment, and truth. If this episode spoke to you, if it stirred something in your heart or helped you see your boundaries in a new light, share it with someone who's always giving too much, with someone who needs to hear that saying no is an act of love, with someone who's ready to stop leaking energy and start living freely. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, because this is just the beginning. Every episode is a reminder that you're not alone, and that transformation is possible, one choice, one breath, one boundary at a time. Until next time, protect your peace, honor your truth, and remember, freedom begins where your boundaries begin.